Okay. Right. The title of my well, talk or sharing session today is drawing from lessons learned from architecture but applied elsewhere. Drawing in this sense is, in one sense, is literally drawing, using pen or pencil to paper, or another is a wordplay on drawing in the sense that it's what from my lessons while studying architecture. So, brief introduction. My name is AdiFitri Ahmad. I'm a comic artist, an art director, web designer, and educator in the past. But all this began with architecture training. So, in this talk, I'll share what some lessons that I've learned while studying architecture, and possibly I'll share how we got to where I am today. So let's start from the beginning. Okay, this is like way before my foray into architecture. So I've been drawing since I was little. This is something that I would draw when I was small. But starting from there, so I would say self-taught artist. So I would like, this is my version of, if you know Pac-Man, the round yellow guy. So when I was small, there was this cartoon. So I tried to draw from memory, and somehow I've got the round parts right, but somehow I made lots of teeth in his mouth. So as I grew, I keep refining my until when the time came after SPM, I took up architecture with only an interest in drawing and practically no knowledge about the field at all. So because at the time only my elder brother was in architecture, and even then I only had a cursory knowledge of the field. But since the beginning, I've always had this wanting to be an architect. So that's why I took up the course. So joining an architecture course I was in UTM school, and it was a valuable experience for me because I would be exposed to, either formally or not, stuff that I would never dream of seeing or learning from before. So it was as if a door was open in my mind to a whole new world of design principles, about history, philosophy. So stuff that are directly or indirectly related to architecture and design. So along with this training is, I think you've all experienced the same thing. You've been trained to draw formally, and and basically explore more in design. So, and all this experience has forever changed my worldview, how I see the world, and how I think, and my. And it was also during this time that I got into graphic design. So because as in your studio you have your presentation drawings. That is essentially is presenting your thoughts and ideas visually. So through that, I've honed my skill, and also I was involved in um, architecture society, a student society, much like most of you guys. So much of my tenure, I've been in the um, graphics department usually. We, create kinds of collaterals for all our events and society communication. So I was involved in that, but little did I know at the time that this is the skill that I would that would feature extensively. Yeah. Uh, Breaking. Oh, right. So I've at um, 6 years plus to earn a degree. I say plus because I had to repeat a few semesters here and there. But throughout the architecture, these are the lessons that I've learned during those years that I would still carry with me to this day. And they are indirectly, how would you say, inferred from the experience, part of the formal curriculum. So, four things I realized is to cultivate an observing eye. Everything is connected. Always ask why and why not, and to always enjoy the process. So I will elaborate further on these four topics. Questions, I think we'll, if you have any questions, we'll because this is going to be pretty much a brief slide, I think. And the rest of the session, I think we can discuss more. It'll be more interesting for you and me. Right. The observing eye is for that to look at things critically and start noticing the wonder in the mundane. What I mean with this is, in my architecture training, I've been taught to develop an observing eye in the sense that you have to start notice um, things surrounding you. See, because through this you will be more analytical and that would help you in your career. Since architecture is a lot of problem solving, so to solve problems, it would be good. It would be really great if you are analytical in your views. So, okay, let's look at the screen right now. It's just a normal bus depot. I think this is in Johor, Taman University. But yeah, if you just take a cursory glance at it, it's just there's a bench, there's a platform, bus on one side and road on the other. But with an observing eye, you could notice that the shadows casted by the shade there is, if you can see, it doesn't really protect the, if you're sitting at the bench there, it doesn't really shade you from with the way it is designed, the shadow falls away from where you sit. Yeah, it would probably protect you, but it doesn't serve its purpose as a shelter from the sun. So you see, with an observing eye, you would notice this stuff and start thinking about how this could be designed better. So that next time, if you were to design a bus shelter, you would know what to do because you have observed somewhere else, like this place, that this is not the way to do it. Yeah, of course, it's not the only thing that would help you in design, because of course you would need a whole lot of other skills and knowledge to actually be a good designer, because as this brings me to next slide, that everything is connected. Like I said before, it's not just any one particular thing that will make you a good designer. It's a combination of a lot of other things. So that if we go back to the first previous slide, what I mean is to have a good design or a good design thinking, you would need a combination of technical skills, knowledge about the environment, about social behavior, about how people. So in this example, this is in Kota Kinabalu, I think. You notice that this space is not meant for sitting, but in combination with its proximity to, so we can probably infer that these people, the gentleman sitting here, is taking their time off from working, and by the tree and the way that the hardscape is organized, it creates for them a welcome place to rest. So if you look at this, a combination like from the trees and the hardscape and the setting with the boats in the background is not, how do you say? On the surface, it doesn't seem, there's no immediate connection. But these are things comes together and creates a space for them to just relax and play guitar and chat. Along with your critical eye, observing eye, you would start to realize that everything is connected. Every little thing you do would affect others. Like, for example, whoever planted this tree here, city council or whatever, probably wouldn't have thought that by having that tree there, pick a nice corner to relax on street level, and yet that's what happens. So this taught me that whatever we do would somehow affect others in their everyday life. So this would, how would I say it? Keep me to be more mindful of my actions, both in design and my everyday life. So you see, this connection between separate things is something that I would use as a taking a work sample from, this is Think Blue, a campaign, an environmental campaign with Volkswagen that I worked with in 2011 or 12, if I'm not mistaken. So when I was talking about connection, okay, we've this asked to design for a campaign of environmental awareness for Volkswagen. So at the time, we were like, how would we create a connection with people and the environment? We'd be more aware and be more responsive with the environment. So we've to create a mascot of a blue monkey, basically, because we thought a monkey is something from the environment, from the animal kingdom, and we thought this would be how to say a face that people would have an affinity to, so that it can make a connection with the environment. They would have some empathy and with a friendly face. So Blue and the character to be our mascot, to bring this message about saving energy. But we knew about Volkswagen and their carbon emission scandal, yeah. So we've used the connection that people would feel with the environment through a friendly character from the animal. Carrying on, I've learned to always ask why and why not. Okay? Helps you keep discovering how things work. And you see, with the idea of having an observing eye, is that you just don't accept things as they are. I've always been curious. I've developed a curious mind by asking why are things as they are. So if we observe, say, for this example, okay, if we came across this situation, we would ask like, why would they like hang out here? Yeah. So that's when we start to notice, oh, okay, there's a nice shade there. Being by the sea would have a nice breeze. So asking something as simple as why would help you notice, and you can critically analyze your environment. And this goes the same internally if you feel, say, if you react to a certain way to a certain issue that or news that you came across, you can direct the question to yourself. Why? Why do I feel like this? Yeah. So asking why helps you discover things. It helps you understand things from the outside world as well as yourself. On the other hand, if you keep asking why not, it helps you to think of uh, new solutions, and it helps you to think as because asking why is only one part of understanding how things work. Why not? Uh, helps you to bring new ideas into how to solve the problem um, in a better way, probably. So, in my work, asking why not uh, helped me create one, I would say, my biggest achievement to date. My graphic novel series of Taubat Si Tanggang. Just as a quick debriefing, not debriefing, uh, as a quick introduction. This graphic novel series, I explored the question of what if Si Tanggang from a law, who's been cursed into stone by his mother, didn't die during that curse, but um, rock-like creature. At least he didn't die. So with that, he has a second chance of actually asking forgiveness from his mother. Uh, and with that, he went on to venture to on a quest to seek for forgiveness from his mother. And along the way, he would meet with other characters from Malaysian folktales. Ah, time dah habis. Oh,
Tak. I don't know who is that. It's okay.
okay.
You
Yeah,
continue.
sure. Thanks. So he would meet other characters like Sirun Chais, Majanin, and they would have the series would be retelling of how these characters could be. That they okay for one thing is that by asking why not, when I was creating the world for design, because as it turns out, when that's what I meant about enjoying the process. So part of the architecture society, I actually enjoy crafting and creating and graphic elements for the society. So if you were to see that as a, you struggle against process, you would not actually savor the process and how do you say it? See it as like an obstacle. But if you actually enjoy the process, how is it? It would be a that would eventually, because it would lead you to new places, I think. This is exactly what happened to me when I graduated, and it just so happened that the first job I received after graduation is in web design. So I thought, yeah, I can do this because I've been doing it. But it's not architecture. Is that okay? I thought, yeah, why not? So, and from then, it has led me into web design, and then further into being an art director, which would, like the example before, lead me to work with brands like Volkswagen, Proton, brands that I would have never imagined working with if I had been an architect. So, yeah, I would say this is all due to me enjoying the process of learning, of discovering, and letting it lead me to wherever it leads me. And is that it? Yeah, and truth be told, the seeds of these lessons were, I would say, sown like during my student days, but it would take like years and years for me to learn it, because it doesn't come like like that, and then I just realized, okay, this is what I have to do. Just take years and years of experience, of learning and relearning to actually get to come to these four main elements, I think. And I guess that's my advice to everyone here, is that it is an ongoing process. It never stops unless you stop it. It stops at school. Life is a learning opportunity, and to let it be a learning opportunity for yourself, for you to grow. So with that, I think that's all. So if you would like to see more of my work, can visit AdiFitri.com. I got the same stuff on Facebook, Instagram, cat pictures and not. And I'm quite active on Twitter. If you, thank you, and I give the floor back to Shafiza. We can see what happens next.
Okay, thank you to Mr. AdiFitri. So we have seen how the lesson that was learned in architecture was applied in graphic design. So basically, it was such an interesting because apart from doing design, we know that there is um, another unique the other unique part of architecture instead of the design itself. So there's a lot to explore more in architecture itself. So if I would like to open for Q&A sessions, we may have the sharing session also apart from the Q&A session. So if anyone does have any talks or any question, you may drop your questions now.
Please. Everyone here is in masters, is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
we are masters first semester.
First semester. Ramai ni masters 40 orang.
No, actually, we only have 26 people in our studio. So the others is guests and also lecturers.
Okay. So,
Assalamualaikum, Mr. AdiFitri.
yep.
Yeah, I have a question. It says here, based on your background education history, you have taken Master of Science Adaptive Architecture and Computation in UCL, is it?
Yep.
Can you briefly explain what the program is it about? Because I'm not quite familiar with it.
Okay. To put it simply, it's just it's about programming. So adaptive architecture is quite a broad concept, and is a design process using programming and generative design. So using computers and programming as a alternative way of coming up with architecture design. So your conventional design process would include and model making and stuff like that. But with they would use generative design, recursive programming to generate forms, spaces and programs. And what's interesting about it is that you can calculate like really complex forms and designs, elements of surprise, because basically it's you set basic and you program it with help of like Rhino, some parameters, and the computer would help you generate solutions based on your parameters. So the designer would have like a limited control, and they would explore design variations program. So it helps in I would think what's the word? Wait, I lost my thought. It helps in form exploration mostly. That's the simplest terms that I can explain. Yeah, the field is I would say nascent. I mean, it's still up and coming, it's still developing, it's still new editing. I haven't been keeping up with it, but I don't know where the discourse have been taken, because this was 10 years ago, I think. And yeah, I don't know where the discussion is heading towards or where it is now. But basically, that's it. It's using parametric design, generative design, and yeah.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very much for very insightful talk, and I like that you have opened up a new dimension to our students in the area that you are doing, and I think I've given a talk to my students regarding some generative design, 3D GIS, and I really heavily reference to the work that UCL has been doing, especially the CASA group, the CASA, by Betty. I think they are the renowned group and the forefront group in the area of city modeling, in the area of GIS and 3D, and I hope that students will have another flavor of this rather than very pure rigid architecture. So I'm happy that I think as a student we must allow ourselves to be sort of open to different angles of form and space, design, and so forth. So yeah, thank you for the talk. It's not a question.
Yeah. Plus is that stuff like parametric generative modeling it's still just a tool to help us design, much like the whatever. So it's just still a tool, but we still need the ideas and thoughts from the designers themselves to actually come up with it. And it doesn't necessarily make you a better designer, because that all still depends on the designer. No matter what the tools are, it's just the tools are merely a way for you to get there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
You agree, Doctor?
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I am Mimi. I'm one of the lecturer in the studio. And yeah, I think it's true. The tool is important. But sometimes I keep telling students that your presentation, your tool is as important as the content itself. Because if you could not efficiently, sufficiently present what you have done in mind, then there's no meaning to everything that you do. And sometimes a bad presentation would differ an A to a D project. And I think as a student, kita must allow ourselves to explore the different angles. I mean, just sharing, when I was a student myself, I enrolled myself to take a minor in fine arts, because I felt that at that time that architecture studies were becoming very rigid, and it constrict my art exploration. I could not put a line on my drawing without explaining to my lecturers what that lines actually meant. So by enrolling to a minor in arts, fine arts, I feel free, okay, to do whatever I want, to do sculpture, ceramics, drawing. So I believe that has pushed my level of creativity through that different angles. So I urge students to explore that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, during my experience as well, I find it it's very useful for designers and creative workers to actually shift between this critical and analytical mode where everything is done with purpose, and as well as being able to shift to a more expressive, probably less rational thought process, and then you can go back to post-rationalizing. So just to not to constrain yourself too much, I think. Yeah.
But I felt very funny when I saw the Pac-Man. I don't think any of the students can relate to the Pac-Man. I think that is thing that is around my
Showing my age.
there was this Pac-Man fever. In fact, there was a song, okay, about Pac-Man fever, get crazy, something like that, okay, making you crazy, okay, Pac-Man fever, making you crazy. So that was really cute. But students were like, apa tu?
So, any more questions from the floor?
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
My name is Sola. In study, I just want to ask two questions. Okay, since you're also an artist, do you face any situation that your artwork being plagiarized or stolen and posted at the other medium without credit to you? And another one is, how long you practice until you find your own style of your artwork? So that's all my question.
Okay. The food. Oh, have I've and posted elsewhere? Is that correct? Well,
Yes.
not just at work. In fact, it happened yesterday. One of my tweets posted on Mstar Online. It's just a stupid thing, but yeah, pretty much it's the same. And they never actually contacted me. It happens a lot, and I don't think that's something that you can actually stop. What with the nature of India is right now, and I used to take it quite hard, but actually I've started to, like haters gonna hate, like stealers gonna steal. So the way is that they might steal the artwork, but they don't steal my creativity. I can still create stuff. I can still produce stuff. I can always find other stuff to create. So yeah, I've learned not to mind so much. Of course, if they don't credit the artist, is that it would affect my potential works, because you see how artists operate on the internet is that when people see get other people to contact the artists to commission new works, so if artist artwork is credits, there's no way of people to get back to the artists and offer new opportunities. It does hurt the artist, but as an artist, I've learned to live and let live. May steal my artwork, but they can never steal my creativity. What's the second question again?
How do you develop your style?
Oh, okay. How do I develop my style? Okay. Style. I've only realized this recently. Is simply just for you to draw or express yourself as the most easy and natural for you. So it may start. You may start the journey as consciously trying to find your own style and stuff, but eventually you realize that your style is basically what is most easy and natural for you. So for some people, they would be more comfortable and easy with a very detailed, realistic style. But for others, it might be a more stylized, simple caricature style. It all depends on how you feel when you create. So basically, finding your style that's it. It's just finding what's most suitable and what are you most comfortable with. Yeah. So it sounds simple, but is still you still need to experience and develop it yourself. Yeah. I hope that answers the questions.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
My name is AdiFitri. Okay. Can I know your thought process of creating the storyline of Taubat Si Tanggang?
I start to plan, and then have a breakdown, lots of coffee. No, yeah, but seriously, for me is because I'm working with an open timeline for the project. Because it's my I was given publisher to develop the project at my own pace. That has become a boon and bane. Is something good and bad both at the same time, because it's good is that I'm not pressured to actually produce a good product, but it's not good in the sense that without the pressure, there's no urgency. Open was the project took about close to 10 years to finish from first book to the third book. Comparatively, like with a publisher who holds your put a fixed like one book could easily be produced in 1 year or 6 months. Also, it's because I produce that I write storyline, I draw, and then color, dialogue, all this stuff. So all these factors come into work, and so it becomes a long process. So to create the storyline, uh, overall um, arc, in the sense, I know how it ends, and I have points like in between of key moments that would happen, and then I start to fill up the smaller details of how one scene leads to another in the most logical and um, exciting way. You see, so because in creating stories, um, it's always important to move the story along, um, whether that be with drama, action, or whatever. So, how I move along is I actually look at the characters because I use characters from um, Malaysian folk. This is where I took that, as I mentioned earlier, that question asking why not. So, for example, see, the story of Mat Janin is that he is typically seen as lazy, and he only fills his day with daydreaming. So, uh, okay, my thought process with Taubat Si Tanggang is how do I take from Malaysian folk tales, and then how do I create super that uh, something that would may be visually striking. Because with Tanggang, when I first designed the character, it's like, yeah, my first intention was how do I make this look like cool, basically. Yeah. And then I asked why not with his um, propensity to daydream. What if his dreams uh, into other people's mind, so he can manipulate how people perceive um, and the surroundings. So uh, from that, I developed the stories also. How would this affect the hero and this create? So there's a lot of back and forth. You know, I've got the outline, and then when I work on the details, I would think that hey, this would affect the outline. So I go back to the rearrange stuff so that everything falls into place. The plot points and character elements. So yeah, this is really hard if you think about it when you are the artist and the writer, and you can write, you can imagine a lot of, but then you are the one who have to draw it. Like if you can imagine this huge epic battle with a lot of soldiers, it will look cool in your mind, but when you have to draw it yourself, then you would be you have no one to blame but yourself, man. And there's a lot of talking to yourself as a creator artist, and a lot of acting. Yeah, I guess that's just my process um, of writing storylines. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
So yeah. So I have this one question. So in terms of graphic design, so everyone they have like different stroke, different style, but their stroke or their style doesn't bring its own meanings. So in terms of graphic design, because of this unique stroke and styles that was possessed by each one of the people out there, how do we appreciate everyone's appreciate others' idea? Because I believe that each of the with ways how others to appreciate
Ni siapa ni? Apple flower ni siapa ni?
the unique.
Right. I think it has a lot to do with having empathy, and you have to develop this way of trying to imagine like how others see things, like and it may not have to, and you don't have to like actually agree, but with their viewpoints, but you can actually appreciate and see where they're coming from. So for
one of the devices in
in graphic terms, I think I myself see myself as more of a minimalist, in that I really love like doing trying to achieve most with very that has been, I think, like the whole motif throughout my work. But I can appreciate how others would go for a more maximalized way of doing things. Because I think it's as long as it applies to from a standpoint, I think we're all familiar with the idea of design principles of, or the hierarchy. That's like, I think I've made this before, a lecture on this, but yeah, as long as the design product adheres to the basic design principles, the styles or stroke, if you say, can differ, and you can still appreciate the design. So yeah. Okay, just nice. It has to do with having empathy and seeing things. That's why when I said it's about seeing things as yeah, as more than what they are.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
I have another question.
Yep.
Before this, you ada mention yang you work freely without tak ada pressure sebab you have your own time kan. So in your opinion, yang macam yang mana better? Adakah kalau ada pressure ataupun yang free waktu bila yang kita work tu? Sebab bila kita work freely, maksudnya tak ada pressure, kita boleh kita ada masa yang lebih untuk elaborate kita punya design tu lebih kan. Kalau macam maksudnya kalau macam ada deadline ni, kita ada pressure. So yang mana yang lagi bagus?
Okay.
Okay. Personally, I always believe the constraint is the best, because at first you would think that working without constraints there's more freedom, but you have to realize that with freedom comes choices. So you're open to so many choices. With constraint, katalah macam time constraint satu hal, so you only you limit yourself to certain options. That goes the same with other constraints, you know. So all these constraints, they help you guide your thought in a more direct manner, in the sense that with less options, you your solution sooner. So yeah, constraints actually help you to come up with a better design. So your question, having more constraint, there's actually you have to strike a balance. There's an optimum amount of pressure viable to create. If there's too much pressure, then some people might not be even able to operate. But with just right, with no pressure, then sometimes things won't get done. So yeah, pressure, there's an optimum amount. I guess it differs from people to people, and constraint is always a better having friends is always better, helps you get to a better creative solution.
Right, thank you.
Study, I have another question. So I just want to ask, do you enjoy reading manga?
Yes.
Because there's a few mangas, like one, two mangas that else I enjoy reading it, but not because of the drawings, the quality of drawings, but more to the storyline. Like if you ever heard about One Punch Man or Shingeki no Kyojin. So One Punch Man is drawn by one. It's the original drawings by the mangaka who is one. The drawing itself is like a childish punya drawing lah, macam drawing kanak-kanak. But the storyline is very great. But now another mangaka redraw it to be more like very high-end punya drawing lah. So saya nak tanya macam which one do you prefer first, like the quality of the storyline or the quality of the drawing come first?
Okay. For me, the idea is the most important thing. Like your example of memang best lah. Because sometimes we have to realize might not match with our ability to convey it. This is always the case lah. That's why you need to always learn and develop your style. Your skills. But you can always, macam yang One Punch Man tu, the artist who redrew, I think, is the guy who did Shield, kan? Shield. He himself probably could not come with the concept of One Punch Man and his storyline. What he can do is help bring that idea to life. So in that way, collaboration is can help create a more engaging product, but it all still stems from, even for myself, even though I feel I've done the best I can with my graphic novel, I'm really sure that if were to draw it based on my idea, it would look better. I know for a fact that there's a lot of other artists can draw better and color better. They might not have the story that I brought in. With financial constraints, I don't have the luxury of commissioning other of my stories, so I'd have to do with my own drawing. So, but yeah, I believe in the idea of the story. So, and so for me, it's always the story and idea concept. Yeah. If we're talking about studio design, is the concept. That's actually the idea, the core idea of whether it be design or comic stories, fiction, anything. Yeah.
Okay, Gina, stop presenting and saya present next one. Sekejap Stop presenting.
Thank you, Mr. AdiFitri. So, do we have Ashraf? Okay.
Okay, Assalamualaikum Mr. Adi. Saya nak tanya, contoh from your background from architecture to adaptive and computational design to interior design and to became the graphic novelist. So what questions do you ask yourself before take the leap from one to another? Apa yang you tell yourself that okay, this is not the wrong step and I can do it all the way?
Is this asking about taking the going into
macam mana that you tell yourself that you are so sure that this step is not wrong. So from mungkin architecture, from conventional architecture to computational architecture, so mungkin your background might be different from phase 1 to phase 2. So macam mana that you tell yourself that okay, this is the right thing to do for yourself untuk the next phase? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think for myself, I've always been interested in finding different ways of doing things. So I saw this architecture approach of using parametric design, generative design is a different way of coming up with design. So Yeah, I think that principle also applies to my career choice, because if you think about it, a part of architecture is uh, as you know, in practice, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. There's coordination, there's but one part of it is still design. And the way I see it, if you design principles is same what field you're in. So moving into web design or graphic design, I think that it's still the same principle of design, but only the approach might be slightly different, because the product itself is different. So yeah, but to answer the question, it's not how do I know is the right choice? I never know. I think macam jom lah, just effort, let's just try it. Kalau tak jadi, there's always ada cara lain lah kot. So yeah, I would never know, even in anything that I do. It's just something that you have to live with sometimes. So yeah.
Thank you, Sadi.
Okay, Mr. Adi. So there is a questions in the chat box. So it's from Mr. Haziq Azhari. He says, Assalamualaikum, Mr. AdiFitri. It was a great opportunity to join your lecture. I have a question. Why choose traditional Malay folk tales for your creation instead of choosing modern or futuristic story approach?
Okay, why? I think for myself is that nobody else is in the way that I find interesting. So yeah, and I see myself that it's some because I've already realized it. I'm a part of my prerogative to actually like carry this through in a way that to keep it alive, I have to breathe in new life. So that's why I choose traditional Malay folk tales and to give it a new interesting spin for it to become more still relevant in this day and age. That's why yeah. And instead of choosing modern and futuristic story approach, yeah, basically what I've been doing is I've been retelling traditional folk tales but in a modern approach. Because I see my work as presenting folk tales in superhero format, somewhat action, yeah. So I see it as like my way of continuing with this heritage, and I have we ourselves take the initiative to modernize this our heritage rather than having people like say Disney people who are, I don't like the term outsiders, but corporations taking charge and dictating something that has been our heritage. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, he says yeah, thanks, definitely. So I hope that will answer your curiosity, Mr. Haziq. So, Aiman, you have any question?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to Mr. Ali. First of all, I would like to say very good talk, and I'm a huge fan of your works. Actually, I've been saw you before in conventions. I've been joining a lot of conventions like CF, Animangaki, CFKL, VEX, and several small events. I eventually saw. Huh?
I really
Yeah,
miss
we really gonna miss those events. It's been 2 years we haven't gone to any events. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of your works. With the Mafia gangs and everything. And this is a question I've been asking around to myself and people who've been doing architecture and end up differently. Is this how do you cope with the stigma of Malaysian thinks that taking architecture people are deemed to be working inside the industry, whereas Bartlett had released a lot of gaming developer, animator, programmer, world builder in gaming, even sometimes thinker in different sort of industry. How do you cope with such criticism on you taking architecture, but you end up being a different thing? How do you cope with such criticism within our stigma? That's my question.
Okay. I have to think a bit. Okay. I think it has to do with the environment of the educational environment of architecture. I don't know what it is about my training or whether it is. We were thought that if you study architecture, you can. I don't know how true that is, but that has always been that been instilled in me. That's why I had this confidence into going into other field, because I believe that design is still design wherever the field is. But when you say that other institutions like the Bartlett can produce like non architects, contributors to other fields, I think it has to do with the attitude. I think in my experience that they took a more wider, they tap from a wider source. And when I was there, their guest lecturers, even though we're an architecture course, the lecturers were programmers, people from computer science, the inventor of the Arduino. There's actually a workshop of using Arduino boards. There was a dancer. You can imagine like a dancer coming you and teaching about dance or using your body to express yourself. tapping from a wider source. So they were inspired by a wider field or no. So in that way, the output is also more varied. I mean, so but I don't see that much happening in local institutions. It's up to the students themselves to expose and seek this different design viewpoints. You know, but it's more impactful if the students seek this themselves. But I think if the institution themselves facilitate, actually guide them in this exploring the branch of creativity. So stigma, I'm not so sure if there's one going on. At least I don't see it. But yeah, yeah, I think it's still down to the individual to actually develop themselves. So in thinking their view on life, on design. So yeah, I think yeah.
May I share something regarding Aiman's question? You also asking about how could the architecture background right sort of influence ataupun impacted the choice of going to another field, right? So I just would like to highlight the architecture training that is adopted by education in Italy. Okay, and then I just would like to highlight what talk that I listened to by Tom Caban. Tom Caban, he was the dean at Melbourne University when I was somewhere there, and then he talked about he asked about why Italy has such a style edge over the rest of us, while the design styles of if anything is better, is considered the best of the design. So so he believes that Italy educate huge number of architects, way more than those that could find a job, like a big number, and they don't expect all of the students will take up architecture as their major. And to establish a sort of architectural diaspora throughout the culture. I'm reading from Sydney Herald here. There was a dispute about his way of teaching and so teachers, animators, film directors, shoe designer, painters, sculptor, playwriters, industrial boat designer are all architecturally trained in Italy. So he feels that he said that I believe architecture should be everyone's undergraduate degree. That's what he said. So that's what he joked about. So yeah, that is a very sort of direct hints on the question that asked. That architecture actually teach you to be a rounded designer. Exhaustive. So whatever field that you embark after your training in architecture will have a better outcome. And I think we have two students, my past students, who have actively involved in comic. Okay, one is now the head of department of saya tak ingat faculty apa yang involved in pementasan and comic drawing in UITF Ucap Perdana, and another one is actively practicing outside Faitullah. So Azhar is the head of department at Perdana on animation and something like that. Animasi,
Oh yeah.
then Faitullah is doing his work out there. So these both of the students have architecture background and they're doing very well out there. So just sharing that. Thank you.
Baru design stage, belum lagi yang verifikasi pemagannya. Cert tu kena go through another process which is being active.
Thank you for the sharing, Dr. Mimi. So does anyone else have any questions?
Kalau tengok dalam buku merah tu, yang ini je kita nak buat, which is kumpul dan kemuka dokumen untuk penilaian, dan kita nak semak.
Do you have any other questions?
Lepas tu baru kita nak all this process dengan secretariat, dengan
Assalamualaikum, Mr. Adi.
Waalaikumsalam. Siapa ni?
I have a question, but by the way, just want to share. I don't know whether you remember me or not. I was one of your students during USAM. You taught us as a like tutus lecturer around 2 SEMs, I think. So it was a great moment because
Kurus.
yeah, master degree. I think 2017 something. Second year.
Yep.
And right, which happens out as well. And others, my friend Aina. So it was a great moment. It was a great time because you taught us on how not be just strict to our design, but in terms of exploring idea to gain of any kind of idea and then way of thinking. Then so I have a question. I'm just wondering, are your artworks inspired from any true event in your life? In terms of when you're in your
Well, it's probably not the. I always see that whatever I put out, it is a distillation of whatever I've been through, but it doesn't have to be like not necessarily a direct retelling. Stuff like whatever is happening in the political scene. My work might not be actually political per se, but I think I've internalized stuff that been going on in the world with myself, and I think that reflects somewhat in my works. So yes, to answer your question, yes, it does, but it's never direct. It always has gone through filters and it synthesizes itself inside first, then it goes out in its own way, I think. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I think because I'm shy, the thing is that I always admire people who can do autobiographical comics, who can actually retell the stories of their lives, and I don't think I could ever do that without like saya memang pemalu orangnya. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you, Rodatan, and thank you, Mr. AdiFitri, for the response. So, do we have any other questions from the floor? Just to share, Mr. AdiFitri, we would like to request a photo session at the end of this session because it was like our trademark. We like to take photo during the session. So during the end of the session, we would like have a photo session with you.
Okay.
So do we have any other questions?
Katalog bahan dan spesifikasi ditandakan dekat dekat warna cerah yang digunakan dalam projek. Okay, this is how kita boleh
Is normal. There, I think we may can end our session here. Or do you have anything to add, Mr. AdiFitri?
I would like to thank everyone here for actually coming and listen to my babble. I think, and I hope everyone has somehow benefit something from it. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Again, thank you for the invite to the organizers, and thank you for having me.
Okay, it was a pleasure to have you with us today. So actually, we have been in talking of inviting you. It was a long. We have this talk like long ago. So it was a pleasure to have you here today. So thank you for accepting our invitation. It was a really thoughtful sharing. We have like this a lot of exploration, in terms of graphic design because for now we are just focused on the architecture design itself. So it was like another exploration of design in terms of the architecture itself. So thank you for the sharing. May I request for everyone to open up their camera so we can have a photo session?
This is how you submit.
So let's do this.
Last slide adalah jangkaan tempoh masa.
Is everyone ready?
This is the norm yang kita jangkakan activity PRB. Okay?
So our photographer, you may start the countdown.
Alright, over set there. Okay, ready everyone? Open up your cameras. Okay, kita happy sikit eh. Okay, kita senyum. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait.
Please.
Yes. Apa? Oh, camera freeze. Okay, kita snap lagi sekali.
Camera Kejap.
Wait, sekejap, freeze lagi. Baru rasa. Ya. Yang tak buka kamera lagi, kalau nak join, buka kamera.
Pada kami supaya kami boleh tengok submitter yang tuan-tuan hantar tu lengkap ke, tak lengkap ke, perlu ditambahkan ataupun good enough. Okay? Boleh juga.
Boleh ke?
Lepas 7 minggu dah kumpul semua tu baru.
Is everyone ready? Dapat kamera ke?
Okay. Alright, everyone ready? Okay, smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait. 1 second. Okay, lagi sekali. Jangan tutup mata eh. Jangan tidur. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1 second. Alright, this is nice one. Alright, thank you everyone. Nanti saya akan bagi gambar tu.
Okay, thank you everyone for your support and for your presence in this session. Thank you to Mr. AdiFitri. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very
So
much.
Thank you, Miss Daddy.
I think it's the end of I think it's the end of our talk today. So it was a really it was it has a lot of new input. So thank you to Mr. AdiFitri.
Setelah selesai PRP dengan fasa, we wait for the keputusan penilaian dan keputusan
So I think that's all for today's session. So thank you to Mr. AdiFitri, and I hope that we can see again in future. So it was a nice session, and thank you very much. Thank you, a lot of thank you from GestAlt Collective Studio.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adi.
Thank you, Mr. Adi.
Thank you, Mr. Adi.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam.